Faster than a speeding lifeguard, stronger than obnoxious odor, can leap Jeff Goldblum in a single bound. We are the PrinnyCast, and it's time to look the music right in the eye. We are your hosts for this episode 16 of PrinnyCast for January 12, 2013. I am the terror that flaps in the night, Chris Man, along with my partners, Mike Man.
Hello.
And Grover Man.
Hello.
And welcome to our Mega Man Spectacular Man. We're hot on the heels of New Year's, and Mega Man's 25th anniversary was last month, as of December 17th. So, welcome to a retrospective look at Mega Man and our experiences with the classic Blue Bomber. But first, a special thanks to longplays.org for all their help with the footage for the show. All those long players, go check them out. And to galaxypugs.com, home of the PrinnyCast forums, and a place to hook up with other gamers and servers to play stuff like Minecraft and Unreal Tournament and more. Plus, don't forget Grover's channel with lots of Game of the Week footage practically every day, and along with other LPs that he's been working with. And yeah, that takes care of that. Before we get too involved, though, I do have a complaint to make. We've always been flagged for certain events on our show because we do use trailers from places like IGN and other companies. Trailers aren't uncopyrighted, but they're considered often fair use for people to post on their respective channels, but we get flagged for that a lot, which is okay. But as some of you may know, we got majorly flagged by companies that didn't even own the rights to certain things during our movie games show a couple of weeks back before our vacation. That actually got pretty rough because we were penalized so that we couldn't upload anything larger than 10 minutes until that was settled. Well, most of that's been settled, most of the companies that were involved, except for the one that actually penalized us. And I think that's the 17th when that goes up, so hopefully nothing will come of that. But again, we're getting some weird complaints from people that do not own the material in question. And I've tried to figure this out, whether it's like music being used in the trailers that may be licensed to music companies or something like that. But I don't want to say too much because I don't want to get us in trouble with anything. But there was a Belgium TV group that actually banned us from having our show shown in Belgium over the Nintendo Wii U commercial. I even tried to figure this out. So if anybody out there understands how the YouTube tracking system works, let me know. Because most of the time, like EA, Activision, there's been a lot of stuff we've been flagged with, and most of the time they release their claims, but I don't know. It's starting to grate on my nerves a little bit, and it's making me not want to use trailers so much, but with our limited means of getting footage for stuff, I don't want to make the show just boring for everybody. I want to show what we're talking about as much as possible.
Exactly.
But rant over. And we haven't been playing a lot this week again, but what have you been up to, Mike?
I've been playing Dark Souls quite a bit, World of Warcraft, of course. I bought the Street Fighter 25th Anniversary Collection because it dropped in price fairly significantly, and I played some Street Fighter Cross Tekken, mostly as Mega Man and Ryu, because those were always my two good characters in pretty much any fighting game.
Of course, we should note the Mega Man in this version is different from any previous.
It's really weird how they did him, too. There's a notable disconnect, which I've talked to you about over the phone, that there's a disconnect in the way they portray him in the game and in the way they portray him in the cutscenes. That was a little weird. I mean, it's easy
like
to
two
see,
different
though.
Personalities.
Yeah, it really is.
And explain for the people that don't know, the Mega Man in that one is actually based on the cover art version from the Mega Man 1 game, which is kind of a meme in itself that looks really very little like the Mega Man that we all know. And so it was kind of a joke character to be added into the game where as I understand the story, he's supposed to be an archaeologist who's an extreme Mega Man fanatic to the point that he dresses up like Mega Man, and that's why he's kind of a overweight otaku kind of character in a Mega Man outfit. But he still has a lot of Mega Man's abilities.
Well, he has the pistol, yeah.
Oh, that's right. It's the pistol. It's not even the arm cannon, is it?
No, it's the
Buster,
pistol, like in the box art, yeah. And if you start the game, if he's the first character you select, then you get treated to his opening and cutscenes, and they're kind of strange. So, Roll is this stay-at-home. I don't know if she's a partner or a girlfriend, or she's always bossing him around. I do know that. It's just weird. Like, it has nothing to do with Mega Man aside from the name. I played those three and played a bit of Dishonored as well. I didn't play anything past the first mission, so I can't really say that much about it at this point. I was able to complete the first mission without being detected and without killing any guards. So,
are you going to try to keep going that route?
Yes, it's a little more fun to do it that way, I think.
You've always been into stealth games.
Yeah, and that's pretty much all I've been playing.
So I know Grover's got a story for us. So what have you been up to this week?
First, we've been playing Minecraft Feed the Beast, and as always, actually had some hilarity happen today. My combustion engine blew up and took out half my base. That was fun. And then, out of revenge, I pulled everything out of my base, and the nuclear reactor that we have in the world that honestly everybody's terrified of. So it was my age, so nobody cared. I purposely overloaded the reactor, tried to run for it, and apparently I didn't go fast enough because that thing blew up and killed me and left a humongous crater in the ground. But that's not the thing that's bad. This week's Game of the Week, They Bleed Pixels, has been a nightmare. And the thing is, the game is fun. The game is very awesome. I could play the game without recording, and it's smooth and flawless. And, it lags just a little bit, but that's expected how fast you're moving in the game. Mm-hmm. Then I press that record button, and everything changes. The game lags horribly, to the point that I play the game in slow motion, which makes the game virtually easy, because I jump, and 10 minutes later I land. Well, it's not that point, but that's a major exaggeration. But the game is a major slowdown. At least I think it plays at a quarter of the speed that it normally would. Mm-hmm. And I was fine with that, and we did that till Wednesday. Thursday, I turned the game on to go play, and it just crashed. And it crashed again. And I spent several hours trying to get the damn thing to run. And I gave up, and somebody gave me some pointers, and the game worked for about an hour, but by then I was so frustrated and just, mind-numbed from messing with it that I didn't want to even do the Game of the Week that day. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I will start fresh tomorrow. The next day, I got up, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. I go to launch the game crashes, and it starts all over again. Mm. So I give up. I hate to say it, I gave up, and if you haven't wondered why there haven't been any videos up on the YouTube channel, it's just because I have been so frustrated by that I honestly haven't done much. I did put up another Minecraft video or something, but other than that, I've just been tearing my hair out trying to get this game to work, and what was it? It was last night that I admitted to Chris that I am defeated and I can't do it. So,
it's a motivation killer when something like that happens.
Yes, it is. It is torturous. And the fact is, they've told me what's wrong. It's an optimization issue with the game. They didn't optimize it correctly. They are working on it. Don't hate the people for this. They are working on it. The crash issue, I don't know. I've looked it up. I think it's a rare issue. I am boggled, but it's a rare issue, so you may never experience it. So, wow. What a horrible way for the Game of the Week to go this week.
It's bound to happen every now and then, especially with as many indie games as you get into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew it was going to happen eventually, but not like this. That doesn't mean anything. The game is still fantastic, and I suggest you play it. I honestly suggest you not record, because if you do, you're going to have a really bad game session. And honestly, trying to deal with They Bleed Pixels drained my motivation for other games, so I've done not very much this week. And that's it for games for me for the week.
You'll get back into it soon enough.
Oh, of course, next week. In fact, I'm gonna be doing a video right after we're done with this, I think.
Good.
I'd like to let everybody know that we're taking a break from the Game of the Week this week. Last week drove me insane, and honestly, I just lost track for the Game of the Week this week. So I will just be posting random videos. I will start posting videos every day again. It was just mental exhaustion from dealing with They Bleed Pixels. So we will either do it next week or at one point in the coming future, most likely sometime in February, the Game of the Week stuff will start being live streamed on Twitch every day. So good. There you go.
And we're even talking about actually live broadcasting this podcast when we start doing that too. So
of course you'll still get to hear it on YouTube, but you get to go listen to us make horrible mistakes.
There's even more self-conscious knowing that other people will be listening to us live.
And they can laugh at us.
Yes.
And that's all. That's that for the Game of the Week for a week or maybe, sir.
So I've been on the Minecraft again. I've been working on my city some more. Actually, probably made the most progress this week than I have in a while. But that's really the only game I've really gotten into. There was some new stuff on Congregate I played a little bit of, but none of them really grabbed me too much. And then there was some little indie games, one of which called Sandbox of God, which I don't quite understand yet because it seems very limited in how it plays. I think it was just meant to be kind of a throw together for a contest or something. It was from, I think it's from a college if I remember right. But so is the next game though, called Octodad. And that is one weird, crazy, wacky game.
Hilarious.
Quaff. People that's played Quaff kind of understand the basic concept. And Quaff was the game where certain keys on your keyboard responded to limbs on this runner that's supposed to be running and jumping hurdles. It was a very popular, very simple Flash game. And hard in the hilarious way of how this guy ends up flailing all over the place. So this is kind of the same concept where your mouse is basically this squid's legs, and it's a lot easier than Quaff by any stretch of the imagination, but it's just as hilarious. And I think the trailer will probably explain for itself, but it's got a really crazy sense of humor. I think it's
game
really
is-
short. I imagine you can beat it in under an hour if you're really good with it, because I think I'm on the final boss and I've only played like 45 minutes of it, but still, I've enjoyed every minute of it. And other than that, I haven't played anything else.
I forgot to mention that my Minecraft Let's Play world, that corrupted. I forgot to mention that too. And what was funny, last night, I was thinking about that corrupted and I didn't back it up, so I had to just get rid of it entirely. Chris's city that he made, last night, did we see that you hadn't backed it up in 2 years?
Well, it wasn't quite 2 years, but it was November of 2011. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
that was scary.
Yeah.
So on to game news? Don't ask that as a question. On to game news! There, that's the way that's supposed to be done. Don't make fun of me. Dig right in here. Fallout 4! Rumors are coming out as Three Dog voice actor Eric Todd Dellums twittered the strong hint that he may be reprising his role. This added to the already well-known rumor from back in August that Bethesda was scoping and researching Boston for reasons undisclosed, but it stood to reason that it could be for the new setting. So rumors.
Oh, that will be
I try
awesome.
not to do rumors, and here I am anyway.
That's a good rumor. That's how Fallout 3 started.
And as we mentioned in our last episode about violence in games, Southington, Connecticut has canceled their plan to collect and destroy those donated game discs in exchange for gift cards, as the group found out they clearly had met the objective of getting the word out and for parents and kids to start talking about the matter. And in related news, Game Developers Association as well as the Entertainment Consumers Association have both sent public pleas to Vice President Biden not to blame violent video games for violent acts in the United States and not to censor games because of it. West Virginia Senator Jay Rockefeller tried to put together a bill that would steady the effects of violent games on children, but Congress didn't pass it. Of course, they had bigger fish to fry at the time.
Yeah.
So he means to attempt to pull it through again soon enough. And this comes on top of others taking more political gain attempts to cash in and pass the buck on violence controversy, including New Jersey Governor Chris Christie putting games side by side with guns as the blames for violence, and of course the NRA's Vice President Wayne Lapierre, who brought out that claim that violent games were directly related to recent shootings. Biden will still be meeting with folks from the video game and movie industry pretty soon to discuss more specifically about this topic and what kind of things can be done for it. And my own local news put up a poll Friday evening about if violent video games had ties with violent behavior in society these days. 90% of the callers agreed. Facepalm.
Facepalm indeed. 90% of people are stupid.
Hey guys, I have an idea. Let's not address the real issues. Let's
Yes.
find a scapegoat. Gosh.
And yet another MMO goes free to play as Terra joins that list come February. It will still use the system of benefits for subscriptions for an elite status, but now is open for anybody to play, or will be come February. Majesco, largely known as a publisher of licensed titles for a variety of systems, and also best known for its work with the creators of Blood Rain and Advent Rising, hits more layoffs as last week it shut down its social game studio in Massachusetts and now has let go of its studio in the UK. So no reports on how many or if the entire studio will be scrapped as well.
Yeah, how many people have lost their jobs?
And despite the very successful free-to-play relaunch of the Secret World, Funcom has also suffered enough that they've joined in the unfortunate layoffs and studio closings as well. But they're holding on as they gear up for a new LEGO MMO, not to be confused with the unsuccessful LEGO Universe game from NetDevil a couple years ago. But speaking of LEGO, they've scored yet another major franchise to tie under their toy brand, as LEGO Marvel Superheroes is coming out for all the major systems, including PC this fall. It will offer similar gameplay to the past smash hit LEGO games with action and platforming and puzzle segments, as well as seems to be promising the largest cast of Marvel characters ever to be seen in one game. So this will join in with the DC versions that they've had, the Indiana Jones, the Star Wars, the Lord of the Rings, the Harry Potter. LEGO's taking over the world, man.
Lego is.
But you know, as far as companies go, I really like LEGO. They've always been pretty good people, even if they are ridiculously expensive.
Yes.
And speaking of toys, Activision's Skylanders series of games and toys claims that it has generated $500 million since 2011, which would make it outselling even the likes of WWE and Star Wars in that time frame, I think. And also released that its Skylanders Giants series has made more money than the box office sales of late last year's two big animated blockbusters, Wreck-It Ralph and Rise of the Guardians combined. Skylanders is the game series related to Spyro the Dragon. It takes platforming, game style, and adds a real-world device that allows you to play your Skylanders figures in the game. Disney, Ubisoft, and Warner Brothers has been mentioned in the rumor news lately for the bids on the THQ's resources and franchises since they've been going under through bankruptcy and problems like that. But now EA has stepped to the plate as well with interests in it. So it and Warner are the only two companies named out of 5 who have officially put in their bids. THQ and its assets will be auctioned off January 22nd. So we'll see who ends up with that. Bane and Lex Luthor confirmed to be added to Injustice, the DC Universe fighting game from NetherRealm, who has gone on to say that the game will have even more content than their very robust 2011 Mortal Kombat reboot. Minecraft Snapshot already popped out with a new one, 13W02. Nether quartz can now be crafted into quartz blocks, which can be then also crafted into stairs, slabs, and 2 new block variants of a pillar and a chiseled quartz block, which is basically a block with details. So more variants for us builder types.
I honestly believe that they are watching the Feed the Beast go crazy, and they're like, we should definitely take stuff from that and use it.
Very possible. That hopper thing.
Yeah, the hopper.
It and the comparator have also been updated to function better. A new minecart. I'm not sure what the point of this one is. I think they were just having fun with something and added it to the game. But a new minecart packed with TNT that explodes when it makes contact with a special rail called the activator rail. I'm trying to see the use for this, but I'm sure there is one. Items can be named by the anvil, yes, but now you can even rename spawns by renaming spawn eggs. So that's great for adventure maps looking for a little more customization. And crazier yet, and this is going to change Minecraft for a lot of people, the old terrain PNG has been removed, so now every block has a separate texture file, which will provide lots of creativity for future texture pack makers, though it will also mean older texture packs will definitely not be functioning anymore, so everybody's going to have to restructure them. But this theoretically means any texture can be animated, any texture can have multiple variants, so it could be very
awesome.
Call of Duty Black Ops 2 gets some DLC at the end of the month, and will give players 4 new multiplayer maps, 1 new zombie map, and a new mode called Turned, where players can battle each other as zombies. It's free for the people with the DLC pass, or available for $15. And Microsoft claims that Windows 8 licenses are now up to 60 million, saying it is in similar sales trajectory to Windows 7. And in related news, Razer has released its new Razer's Edge gaming tablet for a starting price of $1,000 that was shipped with Windows 8 and sports a 10.1-inch touchscreen, Intel Core i5, an NVIDIA GT 640 meg, and a 4 gig of RAM, and a 64 gig solid-state drive. CNET voted this was the best product on display at CES this year. And all I have to say is, man, the day has come that we have gaming tablets now.
Craziness. It is so expensive, though.
It is. But usually gaming computers always have been.
Drop that and cry blood. I mean, literally. Can you imagine dropping that thing?
Yes. In related computer news that does indeed affect gaming is the second warning issued for Java users as the exploit that has been circulating a while gets worse and it becomes more widespread among hackers. Further help that the Java update that was released in late August actually made previous versions unaffected by the exploit now open to it. Groups like USCERT advise to deactivate your Java on your browsers entirely until the matter is secured. However, knowing that Java is widely used for a ton of different purposes, including Minecraft and a good many Flash-related sites, some sites say that you can simply disable it until you're visiting one of these such sites and then immediately re-enable when you're through.
Thanks for the exploit, you dumb bastards.
Hey, what's wrong with that? Microsoft has been giving them to us for years.
Well, that is true, but Java is just so, on everything. I mean, you kind of have to have Java, otherwise you live in the Stone Age.
Join Java and Flash, and there you go. That's pretty much the internet.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, for news that everybody's excited. New Pokemon for the DS was announced. Scheduled for October of this year, Pokemon X and Y will feature a fully 3D world for the first time, with many Pokemon returning alongside some new additions.
And put it on a console or I'm not playing it.
Aw, you're not a Pokemon, man?
I'm Pokemon, man. I'm sick of the damn handhelds. I want to play it on a console or a computer. I just want to play it on my desk.
Watch it have Wii U connectivity in some sort.
No, probably.
I like how they ran out of colors, though.
Yeah,
They had
they're
to
just
go
gonna
letters.
start. They're gonna start just doing numbers now. After that, are we gonna get up to like 20,000 Pokemon before they start thinking,
Pokemon Fraction and Binary.
Yeah, you can use Pi to count all the Pokemon.
Well, at least they finally went 3D.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that it's not the first time they went 3D, but as an
It's
actual
the
RPG series, it's the first time.
Yeah. I mean, they've had games with 3D graphics in them, but they've never been like a 3D world.
Awesome Games Done Quick 2013 has raised almost $360,000 as of earlier today for Prevent Cancer Organization over the course of a week, as dozens upon dozens of gamers throughout the world and the speedrunner community marathoned a boatload of games for 24 hours a day for the last 6 days. It ends in a few hours of our recording right now, so that's why that's not the official amount. They're aiming for 400,000, but yeah, good for them.
Yes.
And speaking of charities, Blizzard's Hurricane Sandy relief sale last month sold an in-game pet called the Cinder Kitten, which has generated $2.3 million that they will be giving the entirety to Red Cross.
Fantastic.
And speaking of giant millions of dollars in companies. Kickstarter let go of their numbers for 2012, and over 18,000 successful funded projects that 2.2 plus million people in 177 countries pledged more than $319 million into. That rounds out to about $606 a minute, and 83 million of it were to money pledged to video game projects.
That's a good way to get funding.
Of which I believe the Double Fine video game and the Ouya console were the two biggest on that end. And for our game releases, DMC, the controversial Devil May Cry quasi sort of reboot prequel thing, releases this week. So we'll find out if gamers will finally accept the new look and feel of Dante, despite the early reviews are very positive about how the game plays. And that is game news. And that brings us up to our discussion for this week, and that is Mega Man. Like we mentioned at the start of the show, it's his 25th anniversary not so long ago. And, well, we all know that we have a fanboy in our midst, so.
I have been on the show before as stating that Mega Man is my all-time favorite video game franchise ever. And despite how many hours I've probably sunk into WoW, which I can actually look up, but I really don't want to know. If there was a Mega Man MMO that ever came out, which there was originally supposed to be a Korean one that I was just kind of hoping would be finished and maybe ported to America. It got axed, along with everything else, but I would have dropped WoW like the bad habit it is and picked up that one, and pretty much played it nonstop.
And
as long as it was good.
Even if it was bad, I probably would have still played it. I have so much Mega Man stuff. I've sold video game systems to come up with funding to get large amounts of Mega Man imported things. Those model kits. Mm-hmm. I've been buying those for 10 years. Well, I haven't bought any recently because they don't make so many. Yeah, they only made from a line from Mega Man X3 and Mega Man X5, and I think they made one from X4. But they didn't hardly make any Mega Man, like classic Mega Man ones. There were a few from Mega Man 8, but it didn't go very far. It was basically just Mega Man recolored to match the color schemes of the various weapons that you acquire in the game, Mega Man X3.
Which is a really cheap way to do that, but
it really was, but I'm a sucker for that, so I bought them all. There's only one that I was never able to find, and it kind of grates me that I don't have it, but oh well. They were all imported, but, you know, that's aside. I've got Mega Man merchandise, I've got Mega Man games, some of which you can't really find. They're valuable. They recently announced they were not going to bring Mega Man Legends Misadventures of Tron Bonne to the PlayStation Network, and that jumped the price of that game on eBay upwards of $300.
Oh
and
I
actually own that game, so I have that. I've got rare titles like Mega Man Soccer. I don't have my original copies of the game. I gave them to a friend when I bought the anniversary collections, so, but if I ever wanted them back, I'm sure she would give them back to me. So, Mega Man started in 1987. A lot of people think that Keiji Inafune actually created the character. He did not. He did design about half of the character. It was already mostly done when he got on board the project as the artist. The first character he actually created was Elecman, and that design, he has stated, has always been one of his favorites, his personal favorites. As for the very first Mega Man game, there were some concepts in the game that I didn't know about until we decided we were going to do this podcast that had been canceled. You cannot duck in Mega Man. Mega Man X5 was the very first Mega Man game ever to allow any sort of ducking whatsoever. But all the way back in the original Mega Man game, they wanted to let you duck, but they thought doing so would make it more difficult for the player to tell what level of the ground you needed to be on in order to avoid the projectiles. Mm-hmm. So they ended up axing that, and they didn't really ever go back to it until Mega Man X5, although you've been able to slide in the game since Mega Man 3, which is sort of the same thing.
And it was kind of offsetting for a lot of people because so many NES games, even the ones that had no purpose for a duck, had a duck, except for Mega Man. Mega Man not having it was kind of strange. Now, the thing about Mega Man not being able to shoot in all directions, that was a little more common. That was just people being spoiled on the likes of Contra.
Mega Man was actually Capcom's very first title that was specifically designed to be only on home consoles. Before that, they had been porting their arcade games to consoles, so it wasn't their first console release, but it was the first one that they had designed specifically for consoles. And the obtain the Robot Master's weapon after you beat him is pretty much a staple in every Mega Man game, spin-off or not. I think the only exception actually might be Battle Network and its spin-offs. games because you use that card battle system.
But you still had access to the characters that you beat. I think they give you their cards, right? So you can summon them?
I think that actually came later in the series. I don't think that was there so much in the first one. I played the first one just to get through it and beat it, and I had the second one. I really liked Battle Network 2. I thought it was better than Battle Network 1. I liked how the playstyle that you used determined what your Mega Man evolved into. I thought that was pretty cool.
And Battle Network was so different than the other Mega Mans. It was very Pokemon kind of knockoff, and even the later versions of Network and the reboot version of it, I guess you could call it, Star Force, sold with alternate versions, just like Pokemon did.
Yep, starting with Mega Man Battle Network 3 was the first one to do that. They had a white version and a red version. And I don't remember what 4 and 5's was, but they ended up axing the colors and going with like teams.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit the Battle Network series was my least favorite Mega Man game of all time.
Well, it took out all the platforming elements.
It did, and
with the exception of the GameCube one?
Yes, the GameCube one, actually I own that. I tend to revisit it sometimes. It left the card battle system in there in this weird way, but it's a action side-scroll platformer game as well. It's a more interesting approach. I wish the entire series was that way, because I would play the crap out of it if it was.
Network Transmission, there's the name.
Yeah, and I've played all the way through it at least 3 times, which isn't much compared to the amount of times I've played other Mega Man titles, but it's often because I forget about that one.
There's not a number next to it.
It's not that there's not a number, it's just that it's the only GameCube Mega Man game. Aside from recently, I did acquire Mega Man Command Mission, so I have that one as well.
The only other RPG that was ever made of Mega Man.
It was done in Mega Man X style. It actually revamped the design for Mega Man X. He's wearing this weird white, blue, yellow kind of outfit. It's not his normal color scheme, not at all. And it had RPG elements in it. I actually got decently far in the game, and I saved when I was backtracking, and I backtracked into an area I wasn't supposed to be in yet, and I got obliterated. And since I had just saved, there was absolutely no way for me to get back out. So I basically ruined my save file.
Oh no.
I was not happy with that. So
if I remember right, that is a game that's a bit of a trudge to get through.
It is. It's
constant random battles and such.
Yeah, you have to be a pretty big fan to really enjoy playing that game.
It's like Seven Saga.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. It did introduce a whole bunch of new characters in that one. Was that Axel's first appearance, or was he in Mega Man X? Let's see, what would that be? 7?
X7 was his very first appearance.
I think
Spider's first appearance.
Now, has Spider ever shown up again?
No.
Okay.
Most of the characters in this series do not show back up. They give names to various, there's basically characters in that game that are like the red shirts in Star Trek. They're just there kind of to die. The first game that I actually played in all of Mega Man was the original Mega Man. We had rented it, me and my brother, on the NES, and it was really difficult. That Mega Man 1 was actually probably the most difficult game out of the entire series, simply because the way that the weapons are designed and how many hits it takes to kill just about anything in that game. And the transition to the boss rooms are a lot different in that game than in any of the other series as well. In the entirety of the series, except for the original title, you get to the boss door, and it's just one screen, and on the other side of the screen is another boss door, and that leads to the boss fight. Well, in Mega Man 1, it was made up of 3 screens. You had your opening boss door, which when you cross through that, there's nothing on the other side. So you walk right, or it'll ask you to go down or up, and you'll basically be tackling a couple screens of the same sort of obstacles that you had throughout the rest of the level, and then you get to fight the boss.
I can throw this in there. There was something else that was obviously planned for the first Mega Man game, and I should be talking about my first Mega Man experience, but I've already mentioned it on the show before, and it's not really much to say. That was basically back in the day that every now and then we'd get some Nintendo games, we'd pull some money together, I'd take my allowance or what have you and buy a game every now and then, and Capcom games were generally the ones that I went with because they all had similar prices and they were all based off of arcade hits and so on and so forth. And I knew nothing about Mega Man. The box art was pretty bad, and yet I still brought it home and I still played it to death, but it was a very difficult game. I remember specifically having a really hard time getting through Elecman's early part of the stage. There was just something really strange about those little invincible mines that I couldn't wrap my head around at the time.
Well, that whole vertical segment was really bad.
It's one of the hardest portions of the game.
They didn't even revisit that in the rest of the series unless it involved some sort of other gimmick that allowed you to do that, like the item numbers in Mega Man 2.
But one of the things that I noticed in the instruction manual was not in the finished product of the game, and that was a versus mode. And I've rarely heard anybody actually talk about it, but it's clearly in print in the instruction manual that there was supposed to be a versus mode. I have a feeling it was probably just a Mega Man versus Mega Man sort of thing like they did in Trojan. So it wouldn't have been anything all that spectacular, but I would still like to have seen like the different bosses once you beat them. Maybe you could play as them or something like that.
What up, losers? Yeah, my dog's a skateboard. You jelly?
Master, I am tired.
Shut up, skateboard!